A fighter that looked too heavy, too clumsy to matter, yet in battle, its roar spelled disaster for the enemy. This was the P-47 Thunderbolt, a war machine so massive, so powerful, that it earned the name, the Jug, short for Juggernaut. At first glance, no one believed such a bulky fighter could stand a chance against the sleek German Messerschmitts, or the deadly Japanese Zero. But soon, history would prove everyone wrong. The story of the Thunderbolt begins in the late 1930s, when the United States was preparing for a war that seemed inevitable. Republic Aviation, led by the brilliant designer Alexander Kartveli, faced the challenge to build a fighter that could not only meet the demands of modern air warfare but also outclass the enemy's best machines. Kartveli originally sketched lighter fighters, but as engines grew larger and air combat more demanding, he shifted to a bold design. A giant radial engine beast that would carry immense firepower, high speed, and exceptional survivability. The prototype, known as the XP-47B, took to the skies in May 1941. At the time, the United States had not yet entered the war, but the clouds of conflict loomed large. The flight proved that despite its size, this fighter could climb, dive, and fight with surprising power. By the time America entered World War II after Pearl Harbor, the Thunderbolt was ready for mass production. Between 1941 and 1945, over 15,600 Thunderbolts were built, making it one of the most produced American fighters of the war. This scale of production reflected its importance. It wasn't just another aircraft, it was a workhorse of the Allied air campaign. Factories across the United States worked day and night, with men and women laboring on assembly lines, producing the wings, engines, and guns that would soon roar across Europe and the Pacific. The design of the P-47 was a marvel of engineering. Its fuselage was constructed with a stressed skin aluminum alloy, allowing strength without excessive weight. Steel reinforcements provided durability. The cockpit, placed high with a bubble canopy in later versions, gave pilots excellent visibility, crucial in combat. And in front, the monstrous Pratt and Whitney R2800 double Wasp engine, with 18 cylinders arranged in 2 rows, delivered over 2,000 horsepower. This engine alone made the Thunderbolt one of the most powerful piston fighters of the war. With a massive turbo supercharger tucked into the fuselage, the P-47 could maintain performance even at 30,000 feet, where many other planes struggled. But the Thunderbolt's real identity came from its weaponry. Armed with 8.50 caliber Browning M2 machine guns, 4 in each wing, it could unleash a torrent of bullets unmatched by most fighters of its day. A single burst could shred enemy aircraft or tear through trucks, trains, and even tanks on the ground. And unlike lighter fighters, the Thunderbolt could carry a heavy payload, bombs, rockets, and drop tanks that extended its range. This made it not just a fighter, but also one of the most effective ground attack aircraft of World War II. Performance figures were equally impressive. Depending on the variant, it could reach top speeds of 430 to 440 miles per hour, climb to altitudes of over 40,000 feet, and with drop tanks, stretch its range to nearly 1,000 miles. For bomber escort missions deep into Germany, this range was invaluable. For ground attack missions, it meant Thunderbolts could stay longer over the battlefield, providing close support to advancing Allied troops. In the skies of Europe, the Thunderbolt first served as an escort for bombers, flying fortresses and liberators, on their dangerous missions into Nazi-occupied territory. German fighters like the Messerschmitt Bf 109 and the Focke-Wulf FW 190 often tried to pick apart the bomber streams. The Thunderbolt's role was to stop them. Despite being heavier and less nimble than the German planes, the P-47 had an advantage. It could dive faster than almost any aircraft of the time. In a high-speed dive, even the German fighters couldn't follow it without tearing their wings apart. This made the Thunderbolt deadly in boom and zoom tactics, swooping down, firing, and climbing back to safety. But the P-47's reputation truly skyrocketed when it was unleashed in the ground attack role. With its 8 machine guns, bombs, and rockets, it became a terror for German supply lines. Trains were shredded, armored vehicles disabled, and troops scattered under the Jug's relentless attacks. German soldiers came to dread the sight of a P-47 formation circling above. The nickname, the Jug, wasn't just affectionate. It described the way this fighter hit the battlefield with the unstoppable force of a juggernaut. In the Pacific theater, the P-47 also proved its worth. Though its range was a limitation compared to the long-legged P-51 Mustang, the Thunderbolt was still used to hammer Japanese positions and protect American bombers. Against the agile Japanese Zero, the P-47's heavy armament and ruggedness gave it an edge. While the Zero could outturn it in a dogfight, the Thunderbolt could outdive, outgun, and outlast its opponent. Pilots quickly came to trust the Thunderbolt's ruggedness. Stories spread of aircraft limping back to base with gaping holes in their wings, cylinders blown, or control surfaces shredded, yet still bringing their pilots home alive. Some Thunderbolts landed with entire sections of their tail missing, others with engines coughing smoke and flames. The fact that these machines could absorb such punishment and survive made them beloved by the men who flew them. Among its most famous pilots was Colonel Neel Kearby, who scored numerous victories flying the P-47, proving it could dominate in air-to-air combat as well. Others like Gabby Gabreski and Robert S. Johnson also achieved A status in the Thunderbolt, racking up kills against German fighters. These men, and many like them, turned the Thunderbolt from a doubted heavyweight into a legendary warbird. Of course, the Thunderbolt wasn't perfect. Its heavy weight made it less maneuverable than some enemies, and its large size meant it presented a bigger target. Early models also had technical problems with their superchargers. But these weaknesses were overshadowed by its strengths, firepower, durability, and sheer versatility. After the war ended, the Thunderbolt continued to serve across the world. Many countries in Latin America, Europe, and even Asia operated it well into the 1950s and 1960s. Though jet fighters soon replaced piston engines, the Jug held on for years as a trusted workhorse. Today, only a handful of Thunderbolts remain in flying condition, performing at airshows, their massive engines roaring across the sky, thrilling crowds with echoes of the past. The P-47 Thunderbolt was more than metal and rivets. It was a symbol of American industry, of pilots' courage, and of Allied determination to win at all costs. Every scar it bore, every mission it flew, every enemy it struck, all contributed to its place in history. And even today, when a restored Thunderbolt thunders into the air, we are reminded of its legacy. Some legends fade with time. But the Jug's thunder? It still rolls across the sky.